Hello, everyone. Welcome back to yet another political episode. So we gotta continue. We gotta continue to talk about Canada because we got some big news coming out of Alberta, a province in Canada, and I'm sure we have heard the news by now. It's been, of course, going through the week. It's been minor talk, but officially, a proposed bill would officially, or a referendum would allow the legislature to vote for the possible independence and separation of the province of Alberta. Of course, if this is passed, I'm not sure if Alberta will be declared independence. I think it's a stretch, if you will, for Alberta to declare independence. It probably will mean the backing of the United States, and if the United States will back Alberta, that means how possibly Canadian-American relations are toast. We know something very similar happened in American history with Texas. We helped Texas become independent, then Texas joined us. Were we okay with Mexico afterwards? No. In fact, Mexico didn't want to work with us. We didn't want, and supposedly the relations went into turmoil. So, what's happening in this situation? Well, Alberta could become independent, or they could join the United States, or it's just a false alarm. This is out of frustrations toward the very cuckoo for Cocoa Puff Canadian results, because Canada doesn't know that Canada is a country that doesn't feel any pain. Okay, no, I guess that's horrible. Not a bad analogy, but apparently Canada is a country that doesn't recognize pain. That's a better statement. A country that doesn't recognize pain towards its own people, the Canadian government is very well abusing their own people in so many ways. One of the most famous are the COVID-19 restrictions. Canadians were forced to be locked up in their homes. I want to believe one Canadian influencer said that there would be drones that would be going around the city to make sure you are inside. That's government tyrannical behavior right there. That's the government that we wanted to deal with. And not only that, but they force you to get a vaccine. They forcing all truckers in Canada to get a vaccine in order to drive. And not only that, but discriminating and of people that don't have the vaccine. Basically, you won't be allowed to show up to work until you have the vaccine. A vaccine, which at the time many people didn't think was safe, and to be honest, I don't think it was safe. We didn't know what we were putting in there. But it doesn't matter. A lot of these Canadians, majority of them have the vaccine. Believe it or not. Why? It's not because they support it. It's because they have no choice. They need to provide food for the family. So I am obviously not angry at the Canadians for getting vaccines if they are really against. It's mandatory, apparently. You could be against vaccines, but it doesn't matter if you're against vaccines. You still have the vaccine because the authoritarians in Ottawa, they are threatening you. If you don't get our vaccine, then apparently you starve. You can't put food on the table for your family. You can't provide for your family. And I'm like, okay, why do we hold Russia to such higher standards? Why do we hold China to such high standards? And while we can't even hold our own to the same standards. So, obviously, Alberta is calling out bluff. They are coming out. Albertans are going to the capital of Edmonton en masse to support the referendum to separate from Canada. These people are obviously not loyal Canadians, and that's fine. To be honest, I wouldn't be a loyal American if the government, my country, was hurting me. That is the expectation. Why pay loyalty to a country that is refusing to protect you? Period. Canada also is guilty of suppressing free speech. We are familiar with the story of a Catholic teen that was jailed after he quoted scripture, a verse in the Bible that made it clear that marriage is between a man and a woman. That teen was called out as homophobic. He was thrown in jail. Now, apparently, being homophobic in Canada is a crime. Just like it's a crime in Europe. This is the threat that is coming to America. The Democrats, if they can have it their way, would totally allow people to be thrown in jail for what they deem is racist. I can guarantee you, if you vote against a black Democrat, they will throw you in jail. I guarantee you they're doing it in some country, woke country in Europe. It's no surprise. So, in that also you have, of course, the uprisings of the trucker convoys of 2022, which really, really voiced disapproval of the Trudeau administration and the tenure of the Liberals, which I want to believe was 8-year tenure back then, 8-year control. And we were thinking about a possible conservative win in 2025. But after everything Canada went through, they voted for the Liberals. Much aggressive. In fact, it was their biggest win since 2015. Nothing can surpass 2015. 2015 was like the 1984 for Liberals in of course, it was the 1984 election for Liberals. It was huge, and it was mainly due to Justin Trudeau and Trudeau was loved by most Canadians because he was the son of the late Pierre Trudeau, one of the quote-quote fake founding fathers of the modern-day Canada that helped separate from Britain. Of course, ideally it became its own country, still a part of the Commonwealth of Nations. But Trudeau was not like his father. We know this. I mean, we know typically sons of presidents and world leaders. We should know this. John Quincy Adams wasn't the best president. And everyone voted for him because he was the son of John Adams. Not to mention, he technically lost that election, but we'll still count it. He became president, but he became unpopular pretty quickly. Everyone voted and loved Bashar al-Assad in Syria because they thought he was going to be like his father, Hafez Assad, who actually got Syria, who worked with the United States. Syria and United States, under Ba'athist control, by the way, were friendly under Hafez al-Assad. But his son went and undid that. But yeah, people will vote for you because and they'll assume you must be amazing. You must do the exact same thing as your father did, and they end up doing the exact opposite. Don't vote for people because they're related to a good leader. No. I mean, yeah, there's the name recognition. That's part of winning an election. But, of course, because of Trudeau, he isn't getting away scot-free. He isn't getting away. He's bringing his chair out of Parliament, carrying his chair, even though, yeah, he stole from the Canadian people for 8 years, and the last thing he stole was a chair from Parliament. But what ended up happening was he thought he got away scot-free. No, he may not get away with this because he might be the blame of Alberta leaving. And once again, I think this is going to be a stretch. Okay, we're not going to wake up next month and have an independent Alberta. That's not going to happen. After all, I think what if this referendum passes in the legislature in Alberta, this will result to sort of a political crisis in Canada. There is already a political crisis in Canada. What am I talking about? Well, the further escalation of that political process, if you will, it will further escalate, and as a result, there will be further strains, especially if the United States backs Alberta. That's tanking Canada-U.S. relations. And am I supportive of that? Absolutely, because George Washington didn't leave planet Earth to go to paradise saying, make sure you get along with Canada, make sure you get along with Britain, make sure you get along with all your neighbors. He didn't say that. In fact, Washington envisioned a isolated country, an isolated America having nothing to do with the world, only if the world cheated against us. In fact, how many times did Washington betray his allies? He did it quite a bit, honestly. I mean, Algeria, one of the second country I want to believe to recognize the United States. What did he do to Algiers? He invaded it. He invaded it right after American independence. Why? Because of piracy. He wanted the American men back. He went and invaded. We lost because the Navy was just created, and right when the Navy was created, we had to fight what is now known as the American-Algerian War. It is not the First Barbary War. That began in the early 1800s. This is 1780 something, right after American independence. Washington took the country to war to Algeria for like a month until we were beaten. Expectationally, he knew that we weren't going to do very well. Our Navy was just created. We were a free, independent country, knew nothing about warfare as an independent country. First war fighting a war without Britain. But yes, Algiers was the very first country we fought prior to independence. So yeah, and we signed a treaty of friendship, and then the next day we went to war with them. Morocco, we had a scuffle with them in the First Barbary War. Morocco temporarily helped the Tripolitanian Barbary pirates against us. Oh, those Moroccans. And not only that, under Washington decided to violate the Franco-American alliance, in which was signed in a way to pay France back for its efforts and support and all the money they paid for us in the American Revolutionary War. Washington decided not to support France in its war against Europe during the French Revolutionary Wars, probably because Washington argued that the treaty was suddenly invalidated, meaning it didn't exist anymore because the Bourbon monarchy, we signed it with the Bourbons, and the Bourbon monarchy collapsed, and basically the French directory is taken over. They're saying, okay, this treaty is now invalid because we didn't sign it with the directory. Now, this was pretty controversial of Washington. Washington actually got Thomas Jefferson a little frustrated because he's a big advocate of France. But yes, a lot of people say, oh, Trump, you're turning on our allies. What do you mean? The United States has been turning on its allies. And we're not even going to war with Canada. This is politics. Politics. And not to mention, it's not like Canada isn't abusing us already. Alberta. And then again, yes, it fits in Americans' interest. We don't need Canada as a friend. We don't need Europe as a friend. In fact, I think the United States should leave NATO, and so we can de-escalate things between Russia and the West. I think that's what needs to happen. They'll be kicking rocks, but whatever. We're not going to profit from war. So I 100% support Alberta. You'll see I made a couple posts about Alberta. Shared a very good video of more information from Proof James Kerr Lindsay. You can go follow him. You have, of course, the flag of Alberta being displayed in the community tab, and ultimately the general approval of Canada. A lot of people on my channel actually support Canada, and I want to reason with them. But I think, here's the thing. I think, honestly, if I worded this wrong, I think, what's your feelings towards the government of Canada? There would be more disapproval. Canada in general, a lot of people like it. I'm French Canadian, and I'll tell you, just because I'm French Canadian doesn't mean I'm biased. A lot of people have a lot family in Canada. A lot of people have roots in Canada. A lot of people just like Canada. It's just beautiful up there. It's a nice place to live. But government, man, it does not make it nice. Paper, it looks great to live in Canada. But when you're actually there, the government cannot stop at all. But majority of my channel members disapprove of Canada, but not as much as I thought they would. Some of them approving might be liberal trolls. I know I made a lot of Canadians mad at my previous video, slandering the results of the election and calling out Canada for their ridiculous and unprecedented results in their decision. But then again, it's their country. I mean, if you want to burn your country to the ground, go ahead, but don't expect us to help you. You did it. So, honestly, it's pretty much settled. I 100% support Alberta. Well, people, would you back Alberta joining the United States? I would. The only con of that is then the map of the United States is going to look very weird. And I guess it doesn't really matter. I mean, sure, a weird map. But I always think a weird map is likely more unrealistic. Let's see if there. Oh, what would the map look like actually, let's see. We can go ahead and see Canada, United States, fantasy. Well, yeah, I agree this is fantasy, but Trump doesn't think it's fantasy. But you'll see this is what I think it would obviously look like. Yeah, this is what we're talking. I mean, New Brunswick joining the United States would be more interesting, more realistic. But yeah, this is a pretty weird map. I would say, hey, there's also Saskatchewan. And that's the other thing, guys. What about Saskatchewan? Do you think if Alberta goes, Saskatchewan is likely to follow? And that's the other thing. This is going to result to a succession crisis because what happened in the American Civil War? South Carolina, they left the Union. Who followed? Mississippi. Who followed next? I don't know, but there 9 other states followed after South Carolina and Mississippi because they were like, oh, look, South Carolina got away with it. We're going to get away with it too. So that's what I'm kind of thinking. The good news for Canada is there's pretty much only 2 territories that are staunchly conservative. I do not count Manitoba as conservative. Not to mention Liberals actually did very well there. But it's pretty tossed up. But these 2, very conservative. Very conservative. And I think, like Saskatchewan, doesn't really have a major city. I think they would leave next if Alberta declares independence. Canada is unsuccessful in getting them back in. and they're okay with Alberta leaving, then I think Saskatchewan's out. They're like, oh yeah, we're not joining this. Alberta gets to do it. We're going to do it. Not only that, I think Saskatchewan could even join Alberta to create a greater Alberta. That I see more realistic than Saskatchewan being its own country or joining the United States as the 52nd state. Reason being, Saskatchewan has nothing really. They don't have a big city like the Albertans do. They have Edmonton, and I think economically they would benefit more if they were a part of Alberta and create a greater Alberta. That's probably what, and I wouldn't be surprised at all if we have a Saskatchewan referendum for independence or possibly joining the United States. I wouldn't be that surprised, and I would support it, honestly. I would support Alberta and Saskatchewan despite the map looking super ridiculous right here. I think we'll get used to it. It's a little weird, but I think this is basically the downfall of Canada if Alberta and Saskatchewan leave. But let's talk about what this means if Alberta leaves Canada. Well, I'll tell you, it's going to look pretty interesting on the map. Okay, first off, I want to make it clear, nothing really changes when it regards to electoral votes. But this is kind of important because the blue wall, which includes Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania, will become irrelevant, meaning that it doesn't matter if Democrats win Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. That doesn't give them the necessary votes needed to win the election. Also, you will no longer need 270 votes to win. What? No, of course you will need 271 votes to win. So with, let's just say I'm going to go ahead and this may take a while. I'm trying to add the states, but our electoral vote map. Okay, yes, Illinois too. Okay, this is sort of what I think it's looking like. Yep, this is our swing state map. So, we're going to go ahead, edit Alaska. We're going to add an additional 3 electoral votes to represent Alberta. So we got 6, with the other 3 representing Alberta. So, yes, indefinitely Republicans would have 222 electoral votes. Now, let's say Democrats win Wisconsin. Okay, let's switch it back to Phil. Wisconsin, Maine, and Pennsylvania. Yes, they would win the election if Alberta wasn't a part of the United States because they have the blue wall. And for years, blue wall was the Democrats' key to win the election. And you'll see, okay, Democrats win with the blue wall. Guess what? They don't win the election. They don't have enough votes. They just need one more. And I'll tell you, they're in order to win, they're going to have to win one Sunbelt state. And I'm telling you, with the current trends of conservatives leaving blue states like California, New York, they're going to more of these states that have opportunity. I like to call this the red wall because if Republicans win 4 of these states, they win. The red wall, they win. The Sun Belt. And they absolutely can. So Alberta would be a step in the right direction of actually locking the Electoral College for Republicans. Democrats, they're not going to like it. In fact, we're so surprised Democrats aren't going along with Canada joining the United States. Why? Well, it would be brutal if Canada joined the United States, because, and I don't support that, no, because that has consequences. Number one, that means more idiots in the country, 40% more. We already have like 30-something more. Now we will officially say that we have majority of the Americans are cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, and that can't happen. So I don't know if President Trump realizes that. But I'm going to say Canada would have, I would say 50 electoral votes. We would say adding to Hawaii for 54. Okay, 54. This is Canada in general. We're going to go ahead and get rid of 3 votes. Yeah, you'll see. If Canada were to join, yes, it's pretty close, although Democrats have a pretty good advantage. It's going to take a lot more for Republicans to win. Democrats just need the blue wall, or just need 2 blue wall states, or they just need 2 swing states in general, and they win the election. That is the reality that a lot of Republicans don't realize. They are saying, oh, let's take over Canada. Well, yeah, that's probably not a good idea. It's not about winning, guys. It's about realizing who we're up against. And we realize we see the people in Canada, they're destroying their own country. They're destroying their own people. And now you want that into our country. That's not going to work well. And because they will lock the Electoral College, conservatives out of the Electoral College, we can't win. And there goes America. America is becoming an embarrassing country again. So I'm all cool with Alberta joining, but not Canada at large. I don't think that can happen. It just can't. Unless we divide the territories up equivalently. And here's the other thing. I think, then again, do you think this is likely going to happen or unlikely? Just like Greenland. It's, as of right now, unlikely. They're making big news about it now. I think the news are politically doing it just to bash Trump. They're like, oh, look at this. Trump is tearing our friendship apart. Trump. Well, there and then again, I'm okay with it. George Washington, like I said, did not leave planet Earth saying that we needed to be friends with anybody. We just need to put America first. Canada is mad. It's their problem. We're gonna do what our founding fathers instructed us to do, because for years we've undermined them. They've been rolling in their graves right now until now. The liberals in the secular media, they're saying, oh no, founding fathers, George Washington is rolling in his grave right now. What are you guys talking about? You hate George Washington. You've made that clear, because the left will cancel anything that disagrees with them by 1%. They're canceling Bill Maher, for meeting Trump at the White House. For sure they'll cancel George Washington for holding slaves. And they already did. They're tearing down statues of Abraham Lincoln. I don't know what bad he did. He probably disagrees with gay marriage, and he likely will. But they're tearing down statues because they think they're racist, they're too old, blah, 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 blah. And they're the ones saying that George Washington is rolling in his grave. So this is kind of confusing to me. But anyway, what do you guys think in regards to Alberta? Do you want it to become independent? I do. Would you rather have Alberta join the United States or become its own independent country? To me, it doesn't really matter. I do think that it would work out better if Alberta was its own country. Like there was a union between Saskatchewan and Alberta, because then again, Canada, I don't want them to become an adversary, but it seems like we're getting the divorce with them, we're getting the divorce with Europe, and Alberta too is getting the divorce. And I think having a relationship with Alberta would benefit our economies with trade, not to mention, well, there's pros and cons in each side, but the United States could have a friend, a loyal friend, and I don't think of Canada as a loyal friend at all, a friend other than Israel, okay? probably Alberta, and that would be pretty interesting. But anyway, what do you guys think about this video? Let me know down in the comments, and as always, I'll see you all in the next political episode.